Hello everyone, welcome to Elite Weather. I am your meteorologist, Mr. G, back at you again with another weather forecast. Now it's your Friday afternoon and we're going to be talking about what we're going to be seeing this weekend across the country. We've dealt with some beautiful weather across the eastern half of the United States, the Northeast, the Great Lakes, the Upper Midwest, the Central and Southern Plains. We saw some really nice weather. It was all right in the Mid-South as well. We did have some pockets where we had some rain-cooled air, so it was a little bit cooler than average over parts of North Carolina and South Carolina. So we did have a pocket of cool air that is caused by cold air damming. So we had some cloud cover and some showers in the area. We also saw that heavy rain and our tropical system, our semi-tropical system that was along the Gulf Coast that dumped several inches of rain in thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast. Then we had our warm front down in Florida that caused that torrential rain down over South Florida in Broward County. So Fort Lauderdale and the immediate area around Fort Lauderdale, a very unique situation set up where we saw a warm front in the area and a sea breeze going east to west along that warm front. We had that very warm, moist flow coming off of the Atlantic from the east. A thunderstorm developed right there at the coast, right along the shore, and that storm persisted. So what we saw was a funnel of moisture coming into that region with that warm front being stationary for a time, for a couple of days. It caused for thunderstorms to develop, and because of that warm, moist air and the cooler air that was actually over the land, because we had that warm front that was coming up from the south, so it caused thunderstorms to develop, but they stayed over the same area. The dynamics was such that thunderstorm redeveloped, and we just had constant redevelopment. So as storms would move away from the Fort Lauderdale area, they would dissipate, but new storms would continuously take its place like a conveyor belt of thunderstorms, and that lasted for a whole day. So they saw about 30 inches of rain in some areas in a 24-hour period, which broke all kinds of records. That was very weird. Weird. The weather is broken, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, I've never seen anything. I've never even heard of that. That's kind of like the monsoons in India that does that. A lot of tropical areas in the tropics where you see this in Hawaii with the storms along the mountains. You see this in South America, in Venezuela. You see that in areas where tropics and high mountains where you can see rain just fall persistently over one side of the mountain depending on where the sea breeze is coming from and that moisture. That's what we saw in Florida, a similar setup to something like that. So let's move on with the rest of the forecast and look at what we're seeing out there right now. We have moisture down across the eastern United States through the Mid-South and the Mid-Atlantic. So Virginia, North Carolina, down through Atlanta and Georgia, parts of South Carolina as well. This was our tropical system that was over the Gulf Coast and Florida. Now it's up here in the Mid-Atlantic, and it's producing more heavy rain, showers, and thunderstorms again. But I don't think we're going to see what we saw over South Florida. That was kind of a unique situation. We have our warm front that is our cold front moving out of the Rockies and across the high plains. We're currently seeing that start to produce showers over Minnesota. Some thunder is also possible, and we will see activity start to fill in later today across the high plains and even down across parts of Iowa and Missouri and Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska as well. We're going to be starting to see some severe weather take shape this afternoon. Things haven't really quite got started yet. I see a few specks starting to develop here across Iowa and Missouri. Expect to see a lot more activity develop later this afternoon, and we're going to be seeing those thunderstorms blow up across parts of the upper Midwest as we head into the evening and overnight hours tonight. We're going to be seeing more of a late day nocturnal severe thunderstorm setup going on. Tornadoes are not necessarily expected. We will see damaging winds in up to 60 miles an hour, and we will see some hail with torrential downpours. So that's going to be the primary issues with this round of severe weather. There is a little bit of cold air associated with this storm that is going to make some snow fall across the high plains as well. I think the snow with this go around is going to be mostly confined to the high plains of North and South Dakota, western Nebraska, Montana, and eastern Wyoming. So that's where we're going to see most of the snow, and a little bit of snow could be possible over in northern Colorado as well. Here we are to take a look at those very beautiful temperatures across the eastern United States. You look from the Great Lakes up in Missouri, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Look at those 70s and 80s. It is 82 degrees in Minneapolis and St. Paul right now. Really, that's not normal. It should be about in the mid 50s right now in Minnesota. That's way above average. That is like 20, 30 degrees above average. And we're going to see those temperatures fall to average. So when that front passes, we're going to see temperatures fall to a few degrees below average to at the average temperature, which is about 55 for this time of the year, for this day across the Twin Cities. But we're going to continue to see those temperatures warm across the east and the Great Lakes as that storm is going to take. Won't get to there till about Sunday. So we're going to see another warm day across the eastern United States on Saturday. So the Northeast, the New England, Mid-Atlantic states, the Southeast, the Gulf Coast, and the Mid-South are going to enjoy another nice day tomorrow. That includes the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley and the Missouri Valley, as well as the Ozarks and the Gulf and the Southern Plains. So Texas and Oklahoma will also see another day of warm weather before the front sweeps through your area. It's going to be a little bit slow to sweep through the Southern Plains, and we're going to see that cold air start to sweep across from the Rockies and the high plains over into the upper Midwest. We will start to see things improve across the western United States. So western Washington, western Oregon, we're going to see temperatures rise. Those temperatures are also going to go up across California and Arizona and New Mexico as well. We're going to see those 70s, those 80s and 90s start to return next week as things dry out across the west and it gets wet in the east. Here's the setup for this afternoon's severe threat across the Midwest and the Central Plains today. We're going to see a medium risk for wind damage, a medium low risk for flooding, as these showers will be brief in nature, and we're going to see a medium risk for hail and a very low risk for tornadoes. So kind of a low grade severe weather threat today. So that is good news too, that we're not expecting any kind of an outbreak, but some severe weather is going to be likely this afternoon, and we're going to see that severe weather through Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, western Missouri, northeastern Oklahoma. So Oklahoma City, northward through Omaha to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, near South Dakota and southwestern Minnesota. Des Moines might see some of that severe weather as well. You are in the slight risk area, or the marginal area, so they could see a low threat for some severe weather across the plains this afternoon. And tomorrow, that severe weather shifts a little bit further to the east and south. So we're going to be seeing some of that severe weather through parts of central Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, East Texas, and that slight risk is going to extend all the way to the Chicagoland area. So Chicago, south and west could see the potential for a severe thunderstorm as well, as that storm system slowly shifts off to the east. And then as we get into Sunday afternoon and evening, the Ohio Valley becomes the threat for a little bit of severe weather, where we could see some heavy rain and flash flooding as a possibility, small hail, and we can have some damaging winds on the low end side for severe thunderstorms, with that damaging wind threat being at about 60 miles an hour. That category from strong to severe is about 58 miles an hour. So once those winds exceed 58 miles an hour, then it can achieve a severe thunderstorm status. That is a low grade severe thunderstorm. So we'll see a few severe thunderstorms moving across the Ohio Valley as this system heads over toward the northeast. And then we're going to deal with that those local downpours as we get through the Ohio Valley as well on Saturday. This is our Florida storm, our Gulf Coast storm now that's going to be lifting up across the eastern United States. So there it is over Maryland and Virginia and West Virginia. We see our area of low pressure, and that is going to be those tropical downpours. These will brief heavy rainfall with thunderstorms possible as well. An isolated severe storm could also be possible that could produce maybe some weak tornadoes. So this could actually produce a weak tornado or a land spout, we call them. So because of that sharp circulation in the atmosphere, this is more of a surface low, so you tend to see more twisting in the atmosphere, more shear, and tornadoes develop with this kind of a scenario. But they will be fairly weak, but don't think that they can't cause damage. These EF0, EF1 tornadoes, anywhere from 40 to 115 miles an hour, can cause very significant damage. So take these just as serious as you would an F2 or greater tornado. So again, that's chance for showers and thunderstorms. Now, a lot of this is going to be hit and miss activity. Not everybody will see a shower or storm, but just know that that's going to be a scenario that anybody in the green here have that chance to see a shower or thunderstorm tomorrow. And then as we head into Sunday, our Midwest storm starts to make its way toward the east. Here's the low pressure center from our tropical system down along the Gulf Coast. Our Gulf Coast and Florida storm is here. This is our Midwest storm that's coming out of the plains in Minnesota. It's going to be bringing up rain and thunderstorms across the Ohio Valley, all the way down the front range of the Appalachian Mountains. So we're going to be seeing showers and thunderstorms over those regions. So from parts of this is Ontario. So we got Montreal and Toronto going to be seeing those showers and storms. Pennsylvania, Buffalo, New York, Detroit, Michigan, Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Kentucky. So we got, what's the city in Kentucky? Louisville. So Louisville, Kentucky, Memphis, Nashville, down the Gulf Coast, Birmingham, Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, Biloxi, Mississippi, New Orleans. So that's why along the Appalachian mountain range is going to be dealing with those showers and thunderstorms on Sunday. All right, so now we get that cool down once that system passes to the east. Now we have the cold air that's on the backside of that area of low pressure coming through the plains, and that is going to bring some breezy conditions. We could see winds around 30 miles an hour, and we're going to see those temperatures drop. Where we saw them in the 80s today, you might drop down to the 40s and 50s. You're going to have a brief, sharp cool down that's going to feel kind of tight. It's going to have a bite to it as you have those winds coming from the northwest as well. So, and that's going to spread through the Great Lakes and over toward the northeast and through the Ohio Valley as well. So be prepared for that as we head into Monday. So late Sunday into Monday, we're going to see that sharp turn in the winds where things cool off for you, and maybe a snowflake or two might fall for some folks, but we're not going to see a whole lot of snow. But it's going to be much colder across the central and northern plains. So if you're in Minnesota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, North Texas, Iowa, Missouri, you're going to see it turn much colder, and you can see it as much as 40 degrees colder. So you take a temperature of 75 and you chop off 40 degrees from that for highs. That's what we're going to see this weekend as this moves into Saturday afternoon, as that front passes and that round of severe weather passes. Then it's going to turn a little bit chilly. It's going to have a little bit of a bite to it through the Midwest. And you know it's always windy through the plains as well. So here is a look at our potential for that cold across the upper Midwest. So now we're talking about Minnesota and Iowa, Indiana, and Illinois is going to turn 30 degrees colder. Now, if I'm being perfectly honest here, this is not that bad for us, because this will knock us down to normal. What this is going to knock us down from those 80s to the 50s is where we should be this time of the year. So I'm not too worried about that, because That's normal for this time of the year for the upper Midwest. And it's a little warmer in Illinois and Indiana. Granted, this is a bit warmer there. Their highs probably in the lower 60s. So if they get knocked down to the upper 50s, that's just a few degrees below average. But for Minnesota and Wisconsin, our average highs for mid-April is the mid-50s. So to get knocked down to the upper 40s to mid-50s, that's about normal. So we'll take that. We won't complain. At least it's not going to really snow all that much. The map shows that there's a possibility of a little bit of snow. We could see 1 to 3 inches of snow across the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. That's what's forecasted. But in my humble opinion, I don't care what the maps are saying. It's not going to snow in the Twin Cities. It's not going to happen. The precipitation will end. And the reason I say that is because the precipitation will end by the time it's cold enough to snow. So it will be cold enough to snow, but with no precipitation falling, not going to really see any snow. And if we do see a flake or two, it's not going to stick. Most of the snow that we've had has miraculously melted already. When we've had 90 inches of snow that have snow piles taller than I am, I mean, good Lord. It was terrible, the amount of snow that was all over the place. It was a record year. I think we're in the top 7 snowiest winters for Minnesota on record. And I don't have confidence in this a whole lot. I think you have a better chance of seeing snow over Wisconsin, definitely over the northern upper peninsula of Michigan, northern Minnesota, and definitely in Canada, we're going to see some snow. Duluth, northward, might see some snow. Wisconsin, Green Bay, northward to Superior, might see some snow. Rhinelander could see snow. Marquette, Sault Ste. Marie could definitely see some snow over there in northern Michigan. But everybody in the light blue, I don't think that it's going to, if it falls, it's not going to stick. You may see the snow falling, but it's not going to stick to the ground. The ground's too warm right now. So Saturday night through Monday night, watch for the possibility. The models keep insisting, but I don't see it in my experience. And I've been studying the weather a lot longer since, I've only been in school for a couple of years. But me as a hobby, I've studied weather for a long time. And I don't see it. So anyway, but this is what the models keep insisting. So I'm going to go with it just in case. Just in case, because you never know with this screwball weather that we're having, especially with the ridiculous El Nino developing. That could be a super El Nino. So yeah, we'll take that. So anyway, okay. So we're going to see that, again, that super cold weather next week, Sunday afternoon to Monday. We're going to see that super cold start to move into the northeast and towards New England. Again, 30-degree drop. They've been in the 70s and 80s too. So this too, again, will drop them down to about where they should be for this time of the year, especially over the interior. So upstate New York, western Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, that's where they should be for this time of the year. So that's going to knock them down to pretty much normal. So again, that's enough with the weather forecast. Happy Friday. See you guys all in the next video. Enjoy the last couple of days of the super warm weather before you get knocked down to normal weather for this time of the year. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe.